So, it has been 4 weeks since fire destroyed our home. No doubt it was the scariest and oddest night of my life. Scary because I truly thought as I came up to the house that I'd lost a whole lot more than I did. Fortunately, the kids, Rosie and her husband Danny, were not home. As I walked up to the house, I thought my beautiful wife, her mom and dad, and all of the pets were gone. That fire was big and engulfed the whole front of the house. The odd part was that Jill and I had gotten into a small argument while I was working on a presentation I was doing for the following Wednesday. After the argument, which was around 10 p.m., I tried to go back to creating the presentation, and since I was a little amped up, I could not concentrate, and for the first time in our marriage, I left the house after an argument. Also, for the first time in my life, I went and watched a movie all by myself. Just crazy. As I was leaving the movie, I had gotten a text from our Infinity fire alarm system. I tried calling Jill to make sure it wasn't the stove left on or a late night burnt popcorn experience. She did not answer. I went to the washroom, and after I tried Jill again, no answer. My intuition was telling me this could be serious. I hurriedly got into the van and sped home. While on Caton Farm Road, I could see in the distance emergency vehicles, and I remember hoping they were not on the way to my house. As I got closer, I followed an emergency vehicle into the neighborhood, then onto my street. My street was blocked off by a police car. I opened my window and let the officer know it was my house, and of course he let me go. I could only get halfway down the street as there were 15 or so emergency vehicles in the way. I parked my van and ran towards my home, and as I turned the corner I saw this. I stopped on my neighbor's lawn and I started to cry, thinking I had lost those I loved so very much. Then, as soon as that thought came into my brain, my neighbor Paul came out of his house, and he said words I will never ever forget. He said, "They're all in here, Tom. Everyone is out." He grabbed me, guided me into his home, and the first person I saw was my bride. Oh, I wish I could explain to you the look on her face. I went and gave her a very long embrace, and we cried. I then saw Judy, my mother-in-law. She was crying too. People were tending to her as I gave her a hug. I went and hugged my father-in-law as well. Jim, he had someone putting socks on his feet. The EMTs were preparing them to go to the hospital. All three of them went in one ambulance. I called my best friend John DeNovo, as he lives very close. I broke down as he picked up the phone and cried, "Johnny, my house is gone. It burned to the ground. It's nothing but a ball of fire." He said, "I'll be right there." And he did. He came right away, and he stayed with me at the hospital for a few hours as Jill, Judy, and Jim were getting checked for smoke inhalation. Shock overwhelmed us all, including Johnny. At 4:30, 5-ish, John went home after he found everyone checked out okay, and Jim and Judy were staying at the hospital for observation. Jill and I left the hospital, and like zombies, at 6:30 in the morning, we walked through Walmart, buying underwear and other clothes to wear. What happened after that is the reason for this message. This has been the most challenging 4 weeks of my young 55 years. Seeing and feeling the pain of the 6 of us was and is excruciating. After our somber and surreal walk through Walmart, we headed back to Johnny's house. I dropped off Jill, and I went to retrieve the animals that did survive, our dog Grace and our cat Charlie. They were still at Marnita and Paul's house. This is a good time to talk about why this message is being shared. Marnita and Paul were so comforting and so giving. Still to this day, they're amazing. And Johnny, he's been an incredibly utterly generous with his time and his resources. After getting the pets, I went back to Johnny's, and by then Rosie and Danny were calling us back from when Jill and I tried calling them at about 2:15, 2:30. And Jill and I delivered the horrible news to the kids, and it was really, really hard. And the hardest part was not being able to hold or hug them. That was really hard. Fortunately for them, they were at Danny's mom's house down in Peoria. They were well comforted by his loving and very caring family. Then we began to contact our families, and the trauma deepened. Our siblings and our friends stepped up in such tremendous ways. I wish I could recount them all to you. That would make this video very, very long. 2 generous and giving friends started GoFundMe pages. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. 3 families will be very much helped through those pages. The giving, it took off so darn quickly. People bringing us clothes, food, toiletries, and so much more. We were, and we definitely are, overwhelmed by the giving. Yes, this has been a terrible tragedy. We all kept reminding ourselves that this could have been a whole lot worse if it wasn't for the heroic measures Jill and Judy took. Also, 2 strangers, we refer to them as angels, saved Jim by carrying him down the stairs as it was proving difficult for Jim to move quickly due to his Parkinson's. They got him out just in the nick of time, as Jim recalls the popping of the windows on his way being carried down the stairs. Our heroes, including Paul, broke down the fence so that they could make it safe for Jim, Judy, and Jill to get into Paul and Marnita's house where warmth was. With that knowing that it could have been a whole lot worse, and the fact that we have all 6 of us still here makes us very blessed people. Sure, we are without a house and nearly 95% of our belongings, and most of all, without those boys who were vital parts of our families. The loss of them has been the toughest to come to grips with. Yes, we know that will take more time to lessen that pain. You know, for the following 19 of 21 days, I toiled at our house trying to find the bodies of our lost dogs so that we could find some semblance of closure. On the 3rd day, we were able to find Joey. He was not burned and seemed peaceful in his place in our bedroom in the basement. 4 days later, we were able to find Baxter, again peaceful and not burned. And for the next 14 days, sadly, we were unable to find Bailey. He was the smallest of the dogs, and the rubble of our home was overwhelming. It was so difficult to share the news with Judy and Jim. So difficult. I'm so sorry for them. Again, with each loss came great grief, and at the same time, someone was giving of their love, their hugs, their time, offering up their homes, giving their clothes, their money, their food, their hearts, as they have and continue to be incredibly empathetic of our strife. We cannot, and we know we will not, be able to fully express our gratitude for all of the giving from all of you. Many of you making great stretches of either your time, your money, and your energy to help us in this painful experience. I would imagine the best way we can show our gratitude is to grow from this. Live our life fully. As we did before, we will again. When you see any one of us, or all of us, we want you to feel a sense of joy and pride that you, each and every one of you, had a hand in our survival and growth into being the happy and joyful family we were and are, even more so now. On behalf of Dr. James Wall, his beautiful and heroic wife, Judy, our wonderfully strong daughter, Rosie, and her forward-moving and upbeat husband, Danny, and our amazing hero, my amazing bride, Jill, we say thank you. thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.